Hi, I'm Stephen McLaughlin with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Every day, hundreds of racists want to spread hate in their communities, but they are an increasingly marginalized group. Without funding, they are often unable to continue their important work, the work of being racist. This is local racist Randy. Randy hates black people.
And the Indians.
And the Indians. But without your support, he runs the risk of not being able to be racist against anyone at all.
There just ain't no money in being racist these days. I can't even afford to get my KKK robes dry cleaned. They're all covered in barbecue sauce and just don't got no money to fix it, you know?
It's all right. It's all right. No one told you to talk, Randy. With just a small donation to the Southern Poverty Law Center, people like Randy here can continue to spread their message of hate and intolerance.
With the price of lumber, I can't afford to build a cross to burn anymore. But I can with your...
Good morning, rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show, and that's on the 4 Liberty Network. The Southern Poverty Law Center, the organization that spent 50 years telling you who the racists were, just got indicted for paying the racists. They were cutting checks to the Ku Klux Klan through a shell company called Fox Photography. That's probably the most insulting thing ever done to the art of photography. They were paying the Aryan Nations. They were paying the Imperial Wizard of the United Clans of America. Robert Byrd, where are you? And they were doing all of this while Amazon was banning your church from its charity program. YouTube was letting them flag conservative videos for removal. And PayPal was shutting down accounts for moms who showed up to school board meetings, all based on the verdict of people who were simultaneously on the phone with the KKK. Yes, shut down the conservative Christian church service, Jeff Bezos. Yes, keep that protest going, Adolf. The money in the Cayman Islands, the $700 million endowment, it's all real. The shell company called Rare Books Warehouse that was funneling donor money to neo-Nazis, all real. And the Biden Justice Department opening this investigation, looking at the file, quietly putting it away in the drawer. I did na. Hear no evil, see no evil. I see nothing. I hear nothing. We know who benefited from that decision. We don't know who made it yet. We'll get there. We're going to do something the rest of the political media sphere is constitutionally incapable of doing. We're going to talk about fathers, peer-reviewed science, not feelings. We're going to talk about the dads this morning. An anthropologist at Notre Dame spent an entire pregnancy collecting his own saliva every week and sending it to a lab. No, he wasn't the one who was pregnant. What he found during the pregnancy, his wife's pregnancy, rewrote what we know about the male body and fatherhood. Your brain physically rewires when you show up for your kids. Your testosterone doesn't drop, it redirects. And the damage from fatherlessness is not just social, it's hormonal, and it compounds across generations. 40% out of wedlock birth rate, and nobody in DC will say what the science already knows. We will. Then Maggie Moda joins us, Young Voices commentator, one of the sharpest cultural minds on the right, to connect the SPLC story to Sydney Sweeney. Yes, Sydney Sweeney. There might be boobs involved. Season 3 of Euphoria has her in a dog costume on a leash, filming OnlyFans content. The American Eagle ad got called racist, and her cameo got cut from Devil Wears Prada 2. The through line between her story and the SPLC is about who controls the narrative in America and what happens when that control starts to visibly fall apart. Maggie will make it make sense. Don't worry. We'll somehow figure out how to connect the booby story to the SPLC story. And later, I make it all work. James Wiley, the Red Flame of Liberty, joins us from Colorado. He grew up watching the Soviet Union collapse from the inside. He ran as a libertarian in Colorado. Well, he is now running for Colorado Secretary of State as a Republican. Oh, so that's either a hooray or a boo, depending on where you come from on that. But his campaign is built around three things: free Tina Peters, decertify the machines, and blockchain the public record. Tina Peters is a Gold Star mother still sitting in a Colorado prison after her resentencing was just ordered by the Court of Appeals. The Secretary of State race is the sleeper seat nobody is watching, and everybody should be. Today is Wednesday, April the 23rd. I'm Austin Peterson. This is the Wake Up America Show. Let's do this. Welcome to all of our friends from the Murtec Raid. Glad to have you all here this morning, as well as Byron Norris hanging out in the chat with T-Mill22. Captain Tight Pants has got his tight pants on. Kermode Bear is here with the goats, M&Ms, and all of our friends, Quest Fanning and others. Make sure you click the like button. And if today is the first time that you've ever watched the Wake Up America show, then please do click that follow button as well. Our show has unlockables, so there are little games that you can play while the show is going on, and you get to play it with money. Think of this as like a political news show with one of those crane games where if you put money in, you have a chance to win a prize. That's going on behind the scenes. How do you have a chance to win a prize? Trump won 420. What's up, my man, over on YouTube's? Well, if you want to play the games with us during the live show, it's easy to participate. If we raise $100 on the Wake Up America show, that will unlock our mini documentary. If you want to see the mini documentary that we've produced for America's 250th anniversary, all we have to do is hit that $100 level on Rumble Rants or in purchases made at our For Liberty shop. Stephanie made a beautiful graphic yesterday for our shop. Check this out. America at 250 years later, the spirit of 1776 still lives. When you go to forlibertyshop.com, you see the America 250th anniversary collection. Anything that you buy during the live show goes to help unlock that bonus content. Stephanie, it looks like you might have done something with the, I don't know, I guess she's changed something up with the, I don't know, the links, some kind of founding fathers-ish thing, pulling in shirts like this is like the first shirt I ever designed, and it's god awful. Based Justice Clarence Thomas. We got better at designing things. Nowadays, we just try and keep it simple, like our 250th anniversary embroidered American flag polo shirt. It's absolutely beautiful. Welcome, Shibi. And thank you very much for supporting us financially and otherwise, guys. It's going to be a beautiful day, and we're glad that you're spending it right here with us.
When I spoke to the mom who lost her daughter, it's a consequence of those neo-Nazis and white supremacists come out of fields in America with torches, carrying Nazi banners, singing the same sick anti-Semitic bile that was sung in Germany in the 30s. And when her daughter was killed, the press went to the then President Trump and said, "What do you think?" He said, "They're very fine people on both sides." And I knew then, I had to do something. And that's how I decided to run.
Yeah,
because
sure.
Democracy was literally at stake. And and then he evidenced everything that we thought. January 6th, when attack on the Capitol, talked about now, because he now talks about making sure they're all let out of prison. They're going to pardon them. Think of this.
Lies.
Every other time.
The organization that spent 50 years telling America who the racists are just got indicted for paying the racists. Oh. A federal grand jury in Montgomery, Alabama, handed down an 11-count criminal indictment against the Southern Poverty Law Center this week. 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of false statements to a federally insured bank, 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche stood next to FBI Director Kash Patel and told the country the truth. The SPLC was not fighting white supremacy. It was, in fact, manufacturing it, which is the most efficient business model since the mafia invented the protection racket. Between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC secretly funneled more than $3 million to at least 8 individuals affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, the National Socialist Party of America, the Aryan Nations, the National Alliance, and a California skinhead gang that the SPLC itself described on its own website and is known for its predilection for violence. They were paying the Imperial Wizard of the United Klans of America. They were paying a senior officer in the National Socialist Movement. One single neo-Nazi operative collected more than $1 million from them over a decade. But here's where this stops being just corrupt and it becomes something darker. The indictment alleges that the SPLC paid that $1 million not for intelligence, not for 25 stolen boxes of documents taken from the National Alliance's headquarters, and then paid a second operative $6,000 to falsely take the blame for the theft. They were commissioning crimes and then buying cover-ups. Inside the SPLC, these people were called field sources. Normal human beings would call them the KKK. How did they hide these payments? Well, they used shell companies, fictitious entities with fictitious names authorized by the SPLC's own chief financial officer and the director of their so-called intelligence project. So while the SPLC, while they were on television denouncing these white supremacists, their accounting department was cutting checks through fake businesses to the Aryan Nations. I mean, somehow, bizarrely, this is simultaneously the most sinister and kind of the most pathetic crime in American nonprofit political history. And the IRS Criminal Investigation Division is now in this case alongside the FBI, which means that the financial forensics are only getting started. This is an ongoing story, and you can just bet your own tight pants that we're going to be covering it here a lot. Get your tight pants on. Get your tight pants on. But the detail that the mainstream media spent 24 hours refusing to touch is this, and we checked. One of those paid operatives was a member of the online leadership chat group that planned the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. He did not just attend the rally. According to this indictment, and this is directly from the court document, he attended at the direction of the SPLC, made racist postings under their supervision, and helped coordinate transportation to the rally for other attendees. He was an organizer. The SPLC paid him more than $207,000 over 8 years. Does anybody remember Heather Heyer? She died at that rally. For years, the left used Charlottesville as their sacred political totem, the proof that Trump was evil, conservatives were dangerous and racist, America was one tiki torch away from the Third Reich. Remember when the Lincoln Project had those fake people show up with their tiki torches acting like they were Charlottesville protesters, the white nationalists, and they had the poor black kid who was an intern? I feel some of these nonprofits in D.C., guys, and I've been there, I worked at them, I know how shady they can be. After a while, I just had to walk. I was like, listen, if these people can all just run these multi-million-dollar institutions in the ground, so can I. So can I. So I quit my job. I was like, no. Mr. Dash over there on YouTube says the New World citizens are going to suffer PTSD from all these head games. I agree. So these people, they ran presidential ads around this. Joe Biden announced his entire presidential campaign around it. I did this. I ran because of Charlottesville. And of course he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because the same reason anybody runs. They want power, right? The self-appointed judges of who is and who is not a hate group in America had a paid operative in the room where Charlottesville was organized. Not one broadcast network evening newscast, by the way, mentioned any of this for 24 hours after the indictment dropped. CBS finally broke the silence last night, one network 36 hours later. Imagine if this were the Heritage Foundation while all of this was happening. The SPLC was using their hate group designations to destroy conservative and Christian organizations across the country. You almost have to admire them. And Silicon Valley was their eager little deputy, their little Schutzstaffel. Amazon excluded charities from its Smile donation program if they appeared on the SPLC hate map. YouTube made them an official, trusted content flagger with direct authority over what videos stayed up and what disappeared. Does anybody remember how I got started on Rumble a few years ago when YouTube demonetized me? Did I make it onto the SPLC hate map? Okay, guys, a little vociferous there. Discover Card refused credit card processing for conservatives. And this is all based on the verdict of an organization that was simultaneously palling around with and paying the KKK, the Family Research Council, hate group, Moms for Liberty, extremist group, Turnpoint USA, listed in their annual hate and extremism report. And the hate map, they don't just cancel people, they get people killed. In 2012, a gunman walked into the Family Research Council's Washington offices with the stated intent to shoot every person in the building. He told the FBI he selected his target directly from the SPLC's hate map. In September of last year, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on a college campus in Utah. The SPLC had featured Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization, in their hate and extremism report. The left built a machine to label conservatives as dangerous, and then it acts surprised when the unstable people treat them accordingly. In 2017, the same year that their paid operative was allegedly helping transport people to Charlottesville, CNN ran a wire story headlined, "Here are all the active hate groups where you live." And it was all sourced entirely from the SPLC hate map. Corporate media running their propaganda on one screen while their informant was running and organizing a violent rally on the other. So the money in this case, the money tells the whole story. The SPLC is sitting on more than $800 million in assets. 30 million of that, by the way, is parked in offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. The Southern Poverty Law Center, poverty is right there in the name, with Cayman Islands accounts. How do they figure out the accounting on that if they're so focused on poverty? So essentially the racist police, right? Biden, AKA the Mr. Magoo of Emperor Palpatine, gets confused by his own lies. You guys are freaking hilarious. Yeah. Mr. Dash over on YouTube. Yeah, that's why we're a Rumble First community, the Wake Up America show and the For Liberty Network. We're a Rumble First community because we had subscribers to the... I thought that the way to run our subscriber program was to have have people do it through YouTube, because everybody knows YouTube. It's ubiquitous. Everybody can get on YouTube and, hook up their credit card and make donations or do monthly subscriptions. Well, guess what? If YouTube doesn't like you and they demonetize you, it's not just that they unlink your account. They make it so that it's impossible for you to earn money. It's not just that they cancel every subscription. Think about how hard you have to work to try and get somebody to just donate $5 a month or $10 a month or $17.76 a month per se. But then it's not just enough that they take away all of your ability. You can't email all of your subscribers at that point because YouTube keeps you from having access to that information. But when they demonetize you, they also email every single person who is subscribed to you, telling them that they have removed their ability to donate to you. So let's say you're like me, sitting on the toilet. I will never forget this. Sitting on the toilet, scrolling on your phone. I get a phone call from my best friend in the world who says, Austin, why can't I no longer subscribe to your channel or donate to your channel a monthly sub? He knew before I did. He had seen the email. So YouTube also embarrasses you with your fan base and says, you can no longer donate to them. We're demonetizing you. And I'll never forget what happened. It was that I posted about it, and the next day, Rumble Siraj Hashmi reached out and says, Austin, get over here. We will monetize you. You can have your community here. And if you're here, it's because YouTube helped make the decision for us. But honestly, Rumble is a phenomenal program, has a phenomenal program for people like us. And they do take good care of us. We're in their creator program of all things. They actually support and encourage us. So, Rumble it is. I don't care if it's easier to get a huge audience over on YouTube. It doesn't matter. It's not valuable. If they can yank the rug out from underneath you because of how you feel financially, then they're the ones who control you. They're the ones who are in charge. If Rumble decided for whatever reason to kick us off of this platform, I know how to get in touch with all of you guys. We've changed our strategy. We now know how we can stay together as a network and move to avoid cancellation. But here's the truth. If Donald Trump, when he's no longer president of the United States, if he's replaced by a Democrat, and you saw what the Democrats did in Virginia and how they treated rural conservatives in Virginia. If you think that they're not going to step up enforcement on social media when the Democrats are back in charge, and they're not going to go on a hate crime spree, which, I would say maybe if there are hate crimes. Coyote. He came from the YouTube days. So Rumble will never do that to us, at least not if it's within their power. And we have to support alternative media like this because this is the only way. I mean, think about how extreme is Austin Peterson in the Wake Up Break. I feel like I'm kind of a rational, normal guy, to be quite honest. I'm not even that extreme. I'm just a normal dad. You're radicalizing me very quickly, but. Quest Fanning says, that's how Rumble came in, ? Rumble was such a big part of the show's evolution. Yes, very true. The Rumble community has been phenomenal. They've been so good to us. They have been so good to us. So every show on the For Liberty Network, Culturama, Cafecito Libre, the Wake Up America show, Freedom Arcade, every show is built with Rumble as its base because even though it has some disadvantages that there aren't as many people on this platform as there are on YouTube, you cannot build your house up on sand. Like I talk to conservatives or people that are getting the podcast sphere, and even if they're competitors, I might still give them advice because I want to be a nice guy and I want to help people, and I'm trying to do something good for our country a little bit here. Try and give back a little bit. And when they're saying, I'm going to start a show and I'm going to go on YouTube, and I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, you're not. Don't do it. I see these people, and maybe they're even getting good views. They're getting like 2,000, 5,000 views on YouTube. I'm like, as soon as you start to become a problem, as soon as you start to get big enough to come up on certain people's radar, it is over for you. It is over. They will see you, and they will find you, and they will kill you. They will do whatever they can. If they will do what they do with the SPLC, it's nothing for them to flick you like a bug. And think about this. Imagine if like $4,000 or $5,000 a month of your revenue comes through YouTube, and then all of a sudden they yank it out from underneath you. It's like being fired from your job, right? If you do this full time, like I do, if you lose that foundation of your base, which is your video live streams, and trust me, X can't do it. We're streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube, but we just do that so that you guys can find out where we're at, which is rumble.com/AP for Liberty. It's just an advertising platform for us. We don't count on it. I fully expect one day to lose that YouTube account as well. But if you don't have the solid foundation and infrastructure for your stream, for your show, or like us for our network, the left will do to you what they did to us during the COVID years. They will censor you. Eventually, the left will get back in power, and you have to have a foundational infrastructure that can actually defend you when big tech, Silicon Valley, comes for us again. And they are coming for us again. Andy Opperman says, YouTube demonetization really brought me into the fight. Well, thank you, brother, and thank you for that. They will cut your funding with the SPLC. Exactly. Where do we get the... Who do I have to call an N-word to get some money from the SPLC? The Biltmore Garage wants $1,000, but we ain't got $1,000 on hand. And they now got a lock on the door and the gym at PS 84. When you see a guy, reach for stars in the sky. Now, the left-wing lawyers in the SPLC case, they're all going on television now. They're finally realizing that it's a scandal of epic proportions. So the left is fighting back. The informant program was standard investigative practices, they say. The donors understood what their money was being used for. Here's the problem with that argument, and the judge made that argument on my show yesterday, too. Standard practice does not require your CFO to authorize payments through a series of fictitious shell entities. Standard practice does not involve paying someone to take the fall for a theft that your own operative committed. And standard practice does not have the person you are allegedly monitoring attending a violent rally at your direction and making racist posts under your supervision. So when you need that many layers of deception, you know exactly what you're doing, and the jury will know it too. Now, the ACLU, the Civil Liberties Union, which is an organization that has literally gone to court to defend KKK marching rights, we now don't know why. It's now defending the SPLC. They call this indictment an extreme attempt to silence critics. The organization that allegedly cut checks to the Imperial Wizard of the United Clans of America is the victim. So they're making this argument now with a straight face. It's worth noting the SPLC's president and CEO resigned last summer. Months before this indictment dropped, they smelled something was up. The organization then laid off a quarter of its staff. They're accused by their own former employees of targeting union members in the cuts. The roof was already coming off this building before the federal government showed up with a battering ram. So the indictment names the organization as the defendant, not specific individuals, as Judge Napolitano noted yesterday on our show. Not yet, but individual names will surface. The person at Biden's DOJ who buried this investigation will surface. The CFO who signed off on the shell accounts will surface. And when they do, this becomes a story about not just this organization, but a network of people in government, in media, and in big tech who used a fraudulent hate group designator as a weapon against half of America, as a weapon against me, as a weapon against Charlie Kirk, and they called it civil rights. What we know today is enough, and trust me, more is coming. But the most powerful private gatekeeper of acceptable opinion in America got caught running a scheme so cynical it makes your average Washington lobbyist look like a choir boy. They told America, here's who the racists are, and here's where they're out on a map. They got conservatives fired and debanked and silenced and demonetized and shot at and murdered. They shaped FBI policy. They put a man in the room where Charlottesville was planned. They pocketed hundreds of millions in donor money, stashed tens of millions offshore in the Cayman Islands. Somebody at the Biden Justice Department made sure the investigation stayed buried. This is not just a scandal with the hashtag. This is a system, and now that system is in public and on trial, and boy, am I here for it. America's 250th birthday is coming, and the regime would love to turn it into some watered-down, apologetic, HR-approved celebration. But I say no. Don't let them do it. Be on the right side of history, guys. Let's go to forlibertyshop.com this morning. Shop the 250th anniversary collection. You're going to be so proud when you show up to the garden party this summer with a Liberty Bell 250th anniversary t-shirt, 250th anniversary 1776 ceramic mug, the Liberty Bell sticker, or the 250th anniversary trucker hat. This is how you celebrate 1776. Wear it loud, wear it proud. Bold gear you won't find anywhere else. Real founding spirit, zero apologies. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Shop the 250th anniversary collection. Mr. Dash, paging Mr. Dash, Joni Rankin, Quest Fanning, T-Mill 22, Coyote. Head on over to forlibertyshop.com this morning. Check out the American 250th anniversary collection. Stephanie designed all these products lovingly for you. She did that for you. But if you're more in the mood for a laugh, the latest product drops are always fun. The For Liberty Network Kiss Cut stickers now in shop. Remember, that includes shipping if you're like, that's a bit pricey for a sticker. It turns out it costs a significant amount of money to get a piece of paper through the mail. 7-Eleven was a part-time job shirt, retro. Convenience store. Nostalgia. Does anybody remember where they were that morning that I got hired at 7-Eleven? In Japan, the 7-Elevens are like actually they're kind of gourmet. You can get like a really delicious, healthy lunch or dinner in Japanese 7-Elevens. If you ever want to go down a rabbit hole of content on YouTube or Rumble, or if Rumble has that content, but if you can find, here I am saying YouTube. If you ever want to go down a rabbit hole, look up content for 7-Elevens in Japan. Stephanie and I have been watching and hoping that Japanese 7-Elevens will come to the United States. And of course, if they do, they're not going to come to Jefferson City. They're going to go to like San Francisco and stuff. But check out 7-Elevens in Japan. We ate a significant number of meals we ate at 7-Elevens in Japan, which sounds crazy. You're in Japan. But believe me, when you see the kind of food that they have there, especially if you like Asian food or Japanese food especially, then yeah, check out 7-Elevens. Why am I talking about Japan? Why don't we talk about how George Bush and Dick Cheney were involved in getting you the part-time job? I don't think you have the dogs. I don't think you have the hot dog to wear that in public. What about the shirt I'm wearing right now? Speaking of, the very first libertarian nationalist has won his campaign for Secretary of State in Colorado. I kid you not. I thought people were going to be running as libertarian nationalists in the next election cycle, but somebody was so excited by the manifesto and ready to rock. James Wiley will be joining us live this morning, an hour from now at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. We're going to speak to James Wiley, the Red Flame of Liberty, who quit the Libertarian Party last year, joined the Republican Party, announced his run for Secretary of State in the primary, Republican primary, won the primary, is now going to be the candidate. Misha Swisky says she lived in Japan. The 7-Eleven was an adventure to look at every item. Yes, oh man, the teriyaki chicken. There is an egg salad sandwich that they put in the Japanese milk bread. If you've never heard or seen Japanese milk bread, oh my God, this is fat kid stuff. But I just want to say, I'm on a diet. But the Japanese people make this milk bread. It's called Japanese milk bread, and it's so soft and fluffy. And then they put an egg salad in it. And I just went, so good. I'm so hungry. I'm in a calorie deficit. In 2010, Lee Gettler's wife was pregnant with their first child. Gettler was an anthropologist at the University of Notre Dame. He was a scientist by training, had the whole scientist disposition. And that means that when he felt something changing in his body, instead of just journaling about it, he built an experiment around it. And every week without fail, he collected his own saliva and sent it into the lab. I think he had like 50 samples across the entire 9-month arc of his wife's pregnancy. And something happened that he could not comprehend. He was measuring his own testosterone and watching his own biology change in real time. In the early months, it went up. In the body's kind of doing what bodies do when they sense something coming. The body was sharpening and preparing. And then When his son was born, his numbers fell off a cliff. The boy was colicky and screamed through the night for months. Geller describes sitting in the dark at 3 a.m. with this small, furious creature, exhausted in a way he had never been exhausted, running on something that was not energy exactly, but felt like it. He wrote later that the hormonal changes that he documented in himself were, quote, helping him get ready to meet the moment as a new dad. So they weren't weakening him or softening him. They were preparing him for this specific and unglamorous and irreplaceable work that only he could do as a father. His findings were later confirmed across 624 men in the largest longitudinal study of fatherhood ever conducted. And I personally like this story and think it should have been front page news everywhere. Instead, it sat in a scientific journal because the story it tells is one that our culture has spent 30 years trying not to tell. That men are not accidental fathers, that the male body does not merely tolerate fatherhood, that it was built for it, down to the hormonal level, down to the gray matter, down to the way that a father's brain fires differently when his child walks into the room than it does for any other stimulus on the planet. And this is the exact story that the left doesn't want told. Gather around. Talking about Dada. Daddy. All right, let's talk about what actually is happening behind the brain, inside the brain, because this is where this study really was extraordinary. A 2014 study tracked gray matter changes in new fathers, the structure of the brain, and it was changing when they had a child. The areas associated with threat response and aggression shrank, while the areas associated with empathy and attachment grew. And here's a critical detail that if you're a father and you're listening to this right now, you should hear this. Listen in closely. The changes in our bodies, they were directly proportional to how much time the father spent doing the actual work of fathering. So the more you showed up, the more your brain rewired. The less you showed up, the more it reverted. So your brain is reading your behavior and rebuilding itself to match. So there is a biological feedback loop built into fatherhood. And the man who changes the diapers and does the night feeds and sits on the floor and plays is being physically transformed by those acts in ways that the man who hands the kid back and goes to watch TV is simply not. Now, here's the finding that nobody else was talking about when we did research for this story. This one stopped me cold. Your father's involvement, or lack of it, programs your testosterone for when you become a father yourself. So researchers tracked Filipino men across generations and found that sons who grew up with present, involved fathers had lower testosterone when they later became fathers, meaning that their bodies were biologically primed for nurturing. Sons who grew up without involved fathers never received that signal. So think about what that means for a country with a 40% out-of-wedlock birth rate. We're not just talking about the boys who grew up without dads. We're talking about those boys growing into men whose bodies never received the biological instruction manual for fatherhood. That means that fatherlessness is not just a social crisis, it's also a hormonal crisis, and it can compound across generations. Now, let's talk about daughters, because this is where the science, of course, gets personal for me. Researchers at Emory University put fathers in an MRI machine and showed them photos of their children. Fathers of daughters lit up differently than fathers of sons. There was higher activation in the visual processing centers, higher activation in the orbitofrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that's linked to emotional regulation and empathy. Fathers of daughters sang more to their children, talked more openly about their emotions, and they also used more analytical language. Fathers of sons used more achievement words like win, top, and proud. So the male brain was doing different things in real time depending on which child walked into the room. Now, the culture is going to look at that and say, see, gender conditioning, fathers impose rules. And I'm going to look at that and say, the male brain is sophisticated enough to read its child and calibrate accordingly. Or nature built in a system where daughters pull out a kind of attentiveness from their fathers that makes those daughters more emotionally intelligent and analytically capable. So the fathers are helping to shape their daughters. Or, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but it does, it could be a D-word design in this. Of course, many on the left cannot tolerate that word. They hear design, biological design. And design, that would mean there's a designer. Yes, design implies a designer, and a designer implies that the nuclear family may not be a social construct to be dismantled, but it might be a biological architecture to be honored. Interesting. It may be the case that nature has a nuclear family built into the male body. And if that's true, and some of the peer-reviewed science suggests it is, then 40 years of policy built on the premise that fathers are optional has been doing biological violence to American children. Now, I want to talk to you about Pete Davidson. We talked about him yesterday because of the tattoo story, but there's another story underneath this. Pete Davidson is 32 years old, and his father was a firefighter who ran into the World Trade Center on September 11th and never came home. Pete was 7 years old. For the next 2 decades, he became exactly what the science predicts happens to boys who lose their fathers if they're young. They're lost, they're loud, and they're self-destructive in the specific way that looks like a cry for attention from someone who should have been there and wasn't. 200 tattoos, drug addiction, a public persona built almost entirely around being a mess. And then he had a daughter and named her Scotty after his father, Scott Davidson, the firefighter who never got to teach him what fatherhood was supposed to look like. And then Pete Davidson got sober, looked in the mirror, and spent $200,000 removing every tattoo from his body. Now, I don't think Pete Davidson is going to be a conservative icon anytime soon, right? But you know what I see? I see a man whose body and brain received the signal that his father never got to give him. I see oxytocin flooding a brain that had been running on cortisol and chaos for 25 years. I see biology doing, on behalf of a dead father, what that father would have done if he had lived. The daughter is finishing the job. And that's not just me being sentimental. There is science behind this. So here's what I want every man who is watching this to understand. The culture has spent 30 years telling you that your instincts are dangerous, that your testosterone is a problem to be managed, and that your desire to protect and provide and lead your family is just patriarchy in a flannel shirt. The science disagrees. Your body has been refined across millions of years for exactly this. And when you hold your child, your oxytocin spikes, your brain rewires, your testosterone recalibrates, not down into weakness, but sideways into purpose. Your presence, your physical, daily, unglamorous, floor-sitting, diaper-changing, bedtime story reading presence is biologically transforming your child's future and your own brain. It's good to know that I was reading Green Eggs and Ham to Hazel last night. It's good to know that we were there and we were conditioning each other. That makes me feel even a little bit better, doesn't it? Now, of course, simultaneously, the courts have been defaulting to the mother for years, the policies that wrote you, men, out of your children's lives, and the cultural messaging that told your son he didn't need you. All of those messages from the left was working against actual biology. And we're living in the wreckage of that experiment right now. 40% out-of-wedlock birth rate, boys falling behind in every educational metric, a generation of young men lost in the specific way that Pete Davidson was lost, loud and untethered, performing for an audience when what they actually needed was a father in the room. The answer to this problem, it's not a government program. It's not another diversity initiative. It's what the science already knows and what your grandfather already knew without needing a study. Go home, stay home, show up, let your biology do what it was designed to do. Love your kids, read to them, be a part of their life. That is the most radical thing a man could do in 2026, and it costs nothing. Rise and freedom. What do you guys think about this? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can always text the show, anything you want to know, 573-319-1586 is the text line. That's 573-319-1586. How far along are we on raising the bonus content? I'm pretty sure we've raised I'm pretty sure there's somebody who bought from the Grift Shop, didn't they? Pretty sure. We should be getting closer to the Wake Up America show's bonus content level. The Wake Up America show is brought to you in part by viewers and listeners just like you. Of course, Washington wants you dependent. They want you dependent on a currency, a banking system, one passport. I was talking earlier about having backup plans. A lot of my friends have backup plans in places like Panama and Argentina. Expat money is for people who understand that real freedom requires options. That's why I'm proud to sponsor expatmoney.com. They're going to help you learn about second residencies, offshore banking like the SPLC, asset protection, international diversification. I could use some of that. Building a legal plan B before you need it. You don't have to be rich to do this. You don't have to hate America. You just have to be smart enough to prepare while you still can. Wealthy people already diversify. The connected class already has backup plans. Everybody who bought gold from me a couple years ago really is glad they did it. Regular freedom-loving Americans should check out expatmoney.com/Austin. That's expatmoney.com/Austin. Build some options before the system decides you are out of options, okay? Just check them out. Check them out. It's 107 people watching us live over on Rumble. What's up, my Rumble people? What's up, my Rumblers? Sup, Rumblers? How many people here love America? Out of the 108 people who are watching us live over on Rumble right now, how many of you love America enough to just literally just drop an American flag emoji in the chat? I'm not asking for much. Do you really love America? Show us that you love America. Drop an American flag in the comment section down there. And while you're at it, how about you just click that little like button there too? Why don't you click that? Click that like button. If you love America, we love America over here. We love it so much that we've literally staked our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors on building a network of shows. Not one show. This is not just my show. There are 5 shows on this network, but I've literally risked my family, our future on the For Liberty Network because I love America so GD much. I really do. I love this country. And if you do too, head on over to forlibertyshop.com like Agora Greg. I click. Thank you, Greg. You're a good man. If you go to forlibertyshop.com, you'll check out our America 250th anniversary collection. Stephanie has been working so hard behind the scenes to produce for you some beautiful products that you won't find anywhere else. Our Libertarian Nationalist shirt you see me wearing and our Don't Tread on Me hats come from the shop as well. But most people are like, oh my gosh, the prices of that. Remember, guys, that includes shipping, so you don't have to worry about the shipping. Get a little internet slowdown today. But if you go to forlibertyshop.com and you make a purchase, it's free shipping in the USA because this is America. We love our cutting boards. I know this just seems like a crummy commercial, and I'm trying to make you drink your Ovaltine, but honestly, it's not just a crummy commercial because we love our glass cutting board that we got from our shop, and this is the one now that I kind of want as well for my grill. I'm going to put out on my grill. But we do have cutting boards over at the shop. Stephanie got the stained glass. Remember, guys, you see that price? It's like, oh, that seems like it's a bit pricey. But that's delivered to your house. A beautiful stained glass, 2 different sizes to choose from. Stained glass George Washington cutting board in our kitchen. People see it and they're like, God, that is beautiful. And guess what? You will not get that anywhere else. You will only find that. And who loves Liberty so much that they put freaking Calvin Coolidge as a cutting board? Who's going to buy something like that? We don't do it because we're not going to get rich selling Calvin Coolidge cutting boards. We're doing it because we effing love Calvin Coolidge. We love liberty. That's why we do it. She was gifted a sub. It's nice to see so many new names and faces. Thank you all, Joel Ledamore, for your generosity. Siggy's mom says she has the stained glass George Washington cutting board. I love it. Whichever item that you guys have from the gift shop that's your favorite item, make sure that you head over to forlibertyshop.com and leave a 5-star review if you would, or just drop a comment in the Rumble chat. Let other people know what you bought, what you liked, and we're so grateful for your generosity. Thank you, guys. Coyote's a chef. You'll have to check out the cutting boards. Yes, we love the George Washington one, but the new 250th glass Betsy Ross flag one that Stephanie made is also really beautiful. So check it all out. Head to forlibertyshop.com, and thank you for putting up with these crummy commercials. Now drink your Ovaltine. All right, we haven't unlocked the bonus content yet, but we're definitely getting close. We'll probably get it between our first guest and our second guest. We've got a lot more show coming your way. When we come back, we're going to bring one of the best young commentators in the game to talk about Sydney Sweeney and the SPLC indictment. Before we do that, guys, don't forget, forlibertyshop.com. Unlock that bonus content. We'll be right back. This is the Wake Up America show, and that's on the For Liberty Network, baby. Ow!
In a city where businesses never sleep, the technology still crashes. When technology turns criminal, they send up the signal. He's not a myth, and he's definitely not your nephew who knows computers. He installs, he protects, he backs it up. He keeps your business online and out of trouble. Managed IT, security, cloud, support that actually answers the phone. Layer 8 tech. When your network breaks, he wakes. Call Drew before your tech needs a rescue signal.
George Washington spent 8 years making sure nobody knew where he was. Troop movements, secret dispatches. The man was a ghost. So when a barista leaned out a window and asked for his exact location in exchange for points they called stars, he looked at his flag and said, "I've already got my stars. 13 of them." Keep your dignity and your location intact. Grab a box of Washington's Revolutionary Roast at forlibertyshop.com.
In a city where businesses...
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government. Get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
The left in America tells us not to have kids to save the planet, but in Cuba, they stopped having kids because the state destroyed the earth.
Collectivism doesn't create justice. It creates shortages, corruption, and power for the few. I've not just seen it, I've lived it. My family escaped it. Now, the same failed ideas are being sold to a new generation. I'm here to expose the lie and defend liberty. From Cuba to Argentina to the United States, the freedom movement is rising. Cafecito Libre is the exile voice of economic truth. Cafecito Libre, premiering March 3rd as part of the For Liberty Network, only on Rumble.
Baseball. Why are you dressed as a baby?
Oh, it's a whole subculture.
Babies?
Adult babies.
Ew.
Ew.
Who wants to see an adult baby?
Ew.
Some people do. It's huge. I keep getting all these requests. Teething rings, bassinets. Some people even want to see me wear a diaper.
Ew.
What? That's sick.
I know, right?
No, that's like not sick in a good way. It's like sick in a really, really bad way. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I guess we're doing this. Maggie Moda is a Young Voices commentator. She's one of the sharpest cultural voices on the right. She covers media, politics, Javier Milei, Viva la Libertad, carajo, you know, the thunder from down under. She's joining us live today on the Wake Up America show, her third week in a row. Maggie, why are we talking about Sydney Sweeney in diapers?
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
What a lovely way to wake people up with Sydney Sweeney talking about, OnlyFans content. I've been reliably informed, though, by the OnlyFans girls in my replies that adult baby content is not allowed on OnlyFans. Thank the Lord.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, anything with Sydney Sweeney has become a news story these days. The women love to hate her. The men love to love her. It's quite a strange situation. Anyway, so Euphoria, the newest season of Euphoria, which is, for those unfamiliar, it's kind of like Gen Z's version of Skins or Girls or Sex in the City, right? So it's a show with a cast of characters that's supposed to kind of show something interesting about our generation. I think it shows the dark side of our generation exceptionally well. And this season is no exception. Sydney Sweeney's character, Cassie, is in a weird relationship. She's getting married. She wants $50,000 of wedding flowers that her fiance is not willing to pay for. So she tells him that she's going to start an OnlyFans account, and hence the adult baby clip where, she justifies her participation in this really gross fetish by saying that, if I don't do it, someone else will, and then they'll make all the money. So I'm just taking advantage of this.
Well, that's interesting because it is kind of a problem that largely your generation is having to deal with at this point, because the incredible incentive that there is to do this, it makes it really hard to explain to a young woman. And I have a daughter, and I'm asking myself this: how do you explain to your daughters that, yes, the money now might seem great, you might be rich, and yeah, it's possible that you could go your whole life and not be like a basketball star and blow it all and lose every single penny, but no, you should work hard and go to school and be good and make $30,000 to $40,000 a year for a few years and struggle. And you're laughing, Maggie, because it seems so obvious that the turn towards OnlyFans is such a allure. I don't know how we'll ever get rid of something like that. I don't know how to counter that.
I mean, I think Cassie's character on Euphoria is a great way to counter this because she sucks. Everyone hates this character. People hate Sydney Sweeney because the character is so cringeworthy and grotesque. I mean, we see her in these very compromising positions. And, the public's response to this is, how dare Sydney Sweeney dress up like an adult baby on Euphoria? How dare Sam Levinson write this into the script? But I don't know if people are yet saying, well, how dare all of these other young women participate in these really immoral, I don't even want to call them fetishes because I feel like it goes beyond that. But you're right. There is a huge financial incentive to start an OnlyFans account and sell your body online. But the thing I would say is that not everyone is Sydney Sweeney, and most people are not going to be that successful. And you don't want to be the girl that started an OnlyFans account, made compromising images of yourself, and only made like $100 off of it. That's a little embarrassing.
Sweeney has said on the record that she feels dehumanized by how people talk about her online and that she has no control over how she's sexualized. And then season 3 of Euphoria has her in a dog costume on a leash and a baby outfit, right? So how do they how does a person hold both of those ideas at the same time?
Maybe she's playing into this idea that everyone's sexualizing her. I think Sydney Sweeney's trying to make her bag while she's young. And maybe that's very similar to these OnlyFans creators. But she's got this very Marilyn Monroe-esque thing about her where she very much appeals to the male gaze. She's probably going to age out of that eventually. And women really dislike her. So I don't know if women are going to want to age with her. So I've noticed she's taken a lot of opportunities that are big cash grabs. I'm sure she's putting that somewhere. But I think it's kind of tongue in cheek. I think Cassie's character is meant to reflect back to us something that we've accepted in society for, I think, way too long, which is this idea that you could just put your body on the internet and sell pictures like this of yourself, and that it's going to have no consequences, either for yourself or the world around you. So it's not just that, the money is probably not as good as people think it is. It's also, what kind of world are you creating, right? Like, you have to take responsibility for the kind of world you're creating. I think the same with people that pay for OnlyFans need to do the same. Everyone in this equation needs to take responsibility. But ultimately, the acts that you're participating in, you can't remove yourself like I think a lot of young women want to do.
Maggie, it used to be kind of the meme was that men like Sydney Sweeney and girls like Sabrina Carpenter, and men aren't into Sabrina Carpenter. But after a couple of weeks, that narrative has sort of shifted, Maggie. I'm going to play a clip now. For the last couple of weeks, there have been a lot of men, specifically right-wing men, that have taken up a new interest in Sabrina Carpenter after this occurred.
Is that what you're doing? I don't like it. That's your culture, is yodeling? Is this Burning Man? What's going on? This is weird.
So I guess the message for women who want to know what guys like is, one, be racist like Sydney Sweeney and be really white and wear jeans, and then be racist like Sabrina Carpenter and unknowingly denigrate someone else's culture, and that's how men will like you.
I guess so. I mean, Sabrina Carpenter, that whole debacle was so fascinating to me, because when she came out to apologize, her first words were, "I didn't see who did it." And so the underlying message there is like, oh, it's okay if it was actually a yodeler or a white Burning Man attendee that was making weird noises, but because it's someone that's a Middle Eastern or North African person, I apologize. That was my bad.
You can't say bad things about those people. Now,
No.
Maggie, I was promised that there was going to be a connection between Sydney Sweeney and the SPLC, because despite the fact that I do show clips like those to get viewers' eyeballs, and boy, does it work. I am a serious news operator in other ways. So what is the connection with Sydney Sweeney and the SPLC?
Gosh, well, you put me on the spot. Both have dominated my timeline, and that's all that I'm reading about, I guess. The SPLC story is so interesting to me. It seems that the supply of racism was not meeting the demand. At least that's what everyone is speculating. And so, we saw Kash Patel and the DOJ come out and give them 11 charges of fraud and money laundering. Are you familiar with this story? Are you deep in the weeds yet?
Oh yeah, I'm deep in the weeds. Yeah. I'm going very deep because this has shaped what the left is for the last decade. Charlottesville has been everything.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was proof that the right is violent. And maybe that group really was violent, but it does seem like the SPLC needs to add their own organization to their hate list, because they themselves have actually, funneled left-wing donor dollars into extremist and violent right-wing hate groups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm playing a clip right now. Alex Jones, The Times, says that the Charlottesville rally has got to be funded by leftist groups. Turns out he was right, but another dollar in the Alex Jones was right jar, I guess. But I suspected it too, Maggie, because I was an operator in DC. I used to do the sort of skull and dagger libertarian stuff, where when we would have End the Fed rallies, I would go in a van dressed up at night and go all over DC and put up the End the Fed gold is money banners across the highways.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were
really
always
dangerous work there.
Well, listen, if you're rolling around DC in the federal district wearing all black in a black car, jumping out and putting signs above highways, there's a good chance you might meet the local constabulary. But no, we when we were back in those days, I would go to some of these underground rallies, and when you're a libertarian, the left tolerates you to some extent. Of course, they only want to use you and to weaponize you against their enemies, which is all they care about. But I suspicioned that they were feds. Some of them. When I would go to some of these anarchist meetings. And I used to go to a lot of anarchist meetings because there's a lot of overlap between anarcho-capitalists and anarcho-communists and syndicalists. So, of course, in New York City, you have a big mix of both. And I would meet people at these rallies. I'm like, you're the only guy here who's clean cut, wearing a fanny pack.
We all assumed they were feds, but now we know they were just SPLC members.
Yeah, well, they were the ones who were they were the ones who were informing to the feds, and then and the SPLC, and they were paid by the SPLC.
Yeah,
double dipping, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, that's what the SPLC is saying. They're saying, we were just paying informants, and my question is to inform you of what? Did you stop any terrorist attacks? I don't know. I need them to give us a little bit more information. I was digging into how much these people were paid. So they paid $3 million to 8 people in the following groups: the KKK, United Klans of America, the National Socialists of America, the Aryan Nations, Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, and the American Front. Notice how they weren't paying people to infiltrate groups like PragerU or Moms for Liberty, which are listed on their site as hate groups right alongside all of these other very obviously extremist groups. Anyway, so with the Unite the Right organizer, that's what everyone's been paying attention to in Charlottesville, because that ended deadly, right? Like people, or how many people died from that? I forget the number.
There was a woman named Heather Heyer, I believe, who was murdered at the rally.
Yes.
Yeah. And, this was where Nick Fuentes was made. This is the rally that, brought him into people's attention. And then, of course, there was January the 6th. I'm not accusing Nick Fuentes of being a Fed, but the problems surrounding Nick Fuentes are that he was at the January 6th event and told people to go in the building and storm the Capitol, and other people were prosecuted for that, and he's kind of out in public openly bragging it, and then they don't go get him. It's at that point I start to wonder, because here's the thing, anybody who knows like the story of Randy Weaver and Ruby Ridge, who was murdered by the government, but it was because the government in the United States has always sort of tracked these Nazi groups. The SPLC, they did it more in a public nonprofit sort of way, but the feds are always watching like these groups and infiltrating them, and that's in a way, that's how Randy Weaver was killed, was because he was hanging out at a Nazi church. Kind of sounds weird, but he was hanging out at a church that was known for that white nationalist presence. And somebody who was a Fed who was there, I think it was a member of the ATF, asked him to if Randy Weaver would saw off a shotgun from by 2 inches. And I don't remember if he did it or not. He must have, because the Feds surrounded his home and killed his wife and child. It became this huge story. This is something that united, when you talk about Unite the Right, that issue more than and others, I will say, animated the conservative and larger right wing. But Charlottesville always felt like it was an alien. It's not like where like people are angry at the ATF for legitimate purposes, but like a lot of the National Socialists, like the formal KKK stuff that goes on in this country, it feels very astroturfed. It, like when I watch Charlottesville, like I'm sure there are probably like retard racist, KKK people there for sure, National Socialists, what have you. I see Christopher Cantwell. I don't know if you know anything about him, but he and I had a past. But it does feel as if the federal government needs this kind of stuff to happen, because look, without it, Joe Biden would have run for president. At least he says he ran for president because of this, right? So they need this. They need this stuff, Maggie.
Yeah, well, the SPLC potentially is acting like the Federal Reserve of racism when there's not enough racism in the economy. You gotta juice it up. You have to animate the base. And I read a report that they may have like really dramatically increase their fundraising right after Charlottesville, which would make sense, So I guess the question with the SPLC is, it would make sense maybe that they're paying informants, like it would make sense that they're doing that. But what were they getting their informants to do? Because one of these informants, the one that was part of the Unite the Right Charlottesville organizing, they were paid about $270,000 over 8 years, which is not a lot of money, especially if you are not a racist and have to go undercover to be a racist. So I feel like they probably picked someone out of that group that was already there, potentially. I don't know. It's very bizarre to me. I really want to hear more from the DOJ about what these operations were like. I believe they're being charged for fraud because it was routed through a different bank account.
Yeah, in the video that I have up on the screen from the Charlottesville incident, there's a character walking in there. I mentioned a little bit earlier, Christopher Cantwell. There he is on the screen right there, wearing that Radical Agenda shirt. That was his podcast at the time. And this is like circa 2017, I believe. He was then later arrested. He became known as the Crying Nazi because at the time he was making all of these threats. This Vice magazine video came out showing him with all of these loaded weapons, and he was making specific threats of violence. So, of course, he's immediately confronted by federal agents who love that kind of stuff because they're like, yes, this confirmed, this gets us our SPLC budget going. This is going to mean a lot. They're going to mean promotions, but the thing about Cantwell is that people like that, they get into these movements and they think that they're going to make a difference. They think they're going to make a change, and they're just being led astray and I think Cantwell probably got turned by the feds. One of the lines of discussion that's happening now, Maggie, and I wonder what your take is on this. I think Matt Walsh finally came out yesterday and said, so might be something wrong with some of these people. But that he alleges that some people on the right, some people who might be considered conservatives or MAGA or nationalists, it's going to come out that some of them got money from the SPLC to push their views. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but if it is the case, I suspect that some of these people who are supposed to be conservatives are Pied Pipering us off a cliff. Do you?
I mean, I don't have any insider information, but I would not be shocked if, I mean, the left is smart.
Yeah.
You know, like at least the organizers on the left, they are very good at what they do. And I mean, they took over all of the institutions. Like, we should not underestimate their organizing capabilities. So I believe it. You know, I'm sure there are influencers on the right that are, you know, what's the word? There's a word for this where you're trying to push the conversation
it's a double
one
cross.
way,
it's
so
like
you go the other way.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. There is a word for that. I can't remember it, but I just like since it's America's 250th birthday, I just call them what they are: Benedict Arnolds. Call them, you know, Quizlings.
Well, and I also think people put too much stock in what influencers say. Like, I think people really have a hard time forming their own opinions these days. Anyone that does
don't
form
say
their
that
own
on this
opinions
show. Not
ends
here.
up an influencer.
No, no, we can't allow that to be said not on this show. Censored. Whatever the legacy media does. It's alive.
It's very hard to have any level of independent thought. But yeah, I believe it. You know what I would not believe? If someone said the right is paying left-wing influencers to lead them off a cliff, because the right is not smart enough to do that.
No, they're not.
At least from an organizational standpoint.
To a large extent, and you and I have been lucky because we're professional operators and we're able to like operate in this ecosystem financially. It's a very challenging environment. But for the most part, people on the right, they're not just paying out money hand over fist to right wingers to share these political opinions and stuff. It is more meritocratic, I might say, if that's a word. Like, you'll have people on the left and they will just be such an AstroTurf campaign. They'll find a young man with a TikTok account and the Democrat National Committee will immediately start paying them and have a conference and give them all free hotel rooms.
A millionaire at like 18.
Yes. But for us on the right, like, you have to do something in order to get really big benefits or perks at our conferences or to have your podcast. Does the RNC sponsor any podcasts? I don't think they do. I don't know if they do or not. Does the RNC even have a podcast? If so, nobody listens to it.
I don't know. And honestly, like, we don't need to start any more podcasts unless you have a great idea. Okay. But the podcast ecosystem is a little overwhelmed. I think we're going to have new forms of podcasts.
I have a great idea.
Yeah.
How about the Maggie Moda show on the For Liberty Network?
Hey.
With young voices as our partner, and we'll take over the right-wing ecosphere and we'll make everybody have podcasts that are good, and then we will fund them because it costs money to fight for freedom.
This is a solid idea. And we just talk about Sydney Sweeney versus Sabrina Carpenter
It must be working because a lot of people. It must be working, Maggie, because every time I have you on, I hear about it afterwards from the men in my life. So they must enjoy it.
That's hilarious.
And we're so grateful, Maggie, that you've been so generous with us, with your time and coming on. And we know you're on Fox News and writing for the Daily Wire, so you could be too cool for school, but instead you hang out with the OGs.
Don't gas up my ego too much. Don't gas up my ego too much.
Well, the audience loves you because they're throwing hearts and roses in the chat, and they're all going to follow you over on X. They're all going to follow you over on X now because if you want to find you and your opinions and what you're doing with Young Voices, you can always be found at Maggie Moda on the X. And anything
not MAGA Moda. That
MAGA
would be
Moda.
a different account. That
Maggie
would be my
Moda.
Democrat AstroTurf Twitter account. No, it's Maggie Moda. You can follow me there. Come chat.
Maggie,
say hi in the comments.
Maggie, I'll give you the last word. If there's anything else that you want to share, you want to talk about Young Voices or plug before we let you go, hit us up.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if you are an aspiring journalist, content creator, if you are from a country where the government is tyrannical and has oppressed you or your family, come check us out at Young Voices. We want to elevate your voice.
Hey, and congratulations, by the way, Maggie.
Thank you.
Hope you have a wonderful day, and maybe we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much, Austin.
Bye.
Is down, people! Racism is down, people! Unless we get these hate crimes up, we are out of a job! No more matcha lattes! Is this getting through to you?
If there's not enough racism, what if we made racism?
That's it!
We don't care how you do it. We just need more hate crimes.
Racism is down,
All
people!
right, I hope you enjoyed that. Maggie's wonderful. I see you've unlocked both phases of the bonus content. You deserve it. You guys are crazy generous. Thank you so much. All right, guys, you see that shirt that I'm wearing? We've got more show on the way. The next guest you're going to want to hear, the first libertarian nationalist to win a primary in the Republican Party, is James Wiley, and he is going to be on our show next to talk about how he got there so fast. Don't go away. This is groundbreaking, cutting edge reporting. It's the Wake Up America show, and it's on the 4 Liberty Network only.
In the quiet farming town of Fredericksburg, New York, on April 5th, 1761, a girl was born who would ride straight into legend. Her name was Sybil Luddington, the oldest of 12 children, strong-willed, fearless, and raised on the edge of the Revolutionary War. By 1777, at just 16 years old, Sybil already knew how to ride hard and shoot straight. Her father, Colonel Henry Luddington, commanded the local militia. Their farmhouse served as both home and regimental headquarters. The war had come close. British forces under General William Tryon were raiding Connecticut, burning towns, and destroying precious American supplies. On the stormy night of April 26, 1777, a rider pounded up to the Luddington farm, drenched and exhausted. Danbury, Connecticut, just 25 miles away, had been attacked. British troops were burning supply depots, destroying food and gunpowder the Continental Army desperately needed. Colonel Luddington's militia had to be called out immediately, but the men were scattered across the countryside, many miles apart. The colonel looked at his daughter. "Sybil," he said, "you know every road and every farm in this county better than any man here. Can you do it?" 16-year-old Sybil didn't hesitate. She saddled her horse, Star, a strong, sure-footed mare, pulled on a heavy cloak, and tucked a pistol into her belt. As thunder cracked and rain poured down in sheets, she swung into the saddle and rode into the darkness. 40 miles. That's how far she rode that night, twice the distance Paul Revere covered on his famous ride. Through pouring rain and howling wind, over muddy roads, across swollen streams, and past forests where Loyalist raiders and British scouts might be hiding. She galloped from farm to farm, pounding on doors, shouting into the storm, "The British are burning Danbury! Colonel Luddington needs every man. Meet at the farm by dawn. Farmers stumbled out of bed, grabbed their muskets, and saddled horses. Some thought they were dreaming, a girl, soaked to the bone, riding alone through the night like a phantom. But Sybil kept riding. When a band of loyalist cowboys tried to stop her, she drew her pistol and spurred Star forward, vanishing into the trees. She rode for hours without rest, her voice growing hoarse from shouting, her body battered by wind and rain. By the time the first gray light of dawn touched the sky, Sybil Luddington had covered nearly 40 miles and roused nearly 400 militiamen. They gathered at her father's farm just as the sun rose. Colonel Luddington took command and marched them toward Danbury. Though they arrived too late to save the town from burning, the reinforced militia helped drive the British back to their ships on Long Island Sound, preventing further destruction. Sybil's ride had saved the day. After the war, she married Edmund Ogden and raised a family. She lived a long life, dying on February 26, 1839, at the age of 77. For many years, her incredible ride was remembered only in local stories, but today her courage is recognized as one of the boldest acts of the Revolution. Sybil Luddington was never a soldier, never a general, and never carried a flag into battle. She was a teenage girl on a horse, riding alone through a thunderstorm because her country needed her. In the pouring rain and pitch-black night, while thunder roared and danger lurked on every dark road, one brave 16-year-old did what grown men could not. She rallied an army with nothing but courage, a good horse, and a voice that refused to stay silent. Sybil Luddington didn't just ride through the storm, she became the storm. And because of one young girl's midnight ride, the American Revolution kept burning bright.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. I'm Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. We've got a great guest for you to finish off the show today. Thank you so much to everybody who's joining us here live on the show. You guys have been extremely generous, and I am truly grateful that you would spend your morning with me. Click the like button if you've been enjoying the content, and if today is the first time that you've ever watched the Wake Up America show, click the follow button as well. We hope you'll come back and join us 5 days a week so you can get more great content like what's coming right now. James Wiley, he's the Red Flame of Liberty, a Colorado native who grew up in Kazakhstan in the aftermath of the Soviet collapse. An experience, he says, shaped his fight for election integrity, individual sovereignty, and secure elections. He's the former executive director for the Libertarian Party of Colorado, and now he was the 2024 Libertarian nominee for Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. He's now running for Colorado Secretary of State as a Republican, which, if you know this show, it's exactly the kind of ideological evolution we talk about when we talk about libertarian nationalism in practice. James, welcome to Wake Up America. Good to see you.
Thanks so much for having me on, Austin. It's great to be able to speak to the inspiration that the Libertarian Nationalist Movement gave me and how I'm putting that into practice. So thanks for lighting the fire for me.
This is, for me, this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to talk to someone, James, who says, you know, not just that you were inspired by me and what I have produced. You know, 2 years ago, I wrote a manifesto about libertarian nationalism. Then last year, you invited me to Colorado to speak to you and the other libertarians. Half of the party walked out rather than confront me or my ideas. I remember seeing your face that night. It was such a chilling day because it was almost like you could feel as if the cause of liberty had lost a battle that day. But the war wasn't over, was it, James? You fought another battle, and where are you now? Tell us about what's happened between last fall and the LP when you and I met, and where are you now?
Well, it is really regrettable that the communists in Colorado were able to exert additional influence over the Libertarian Party. They were able to secure a majority at the convention and replace me in leadership and bring in a bunch of leftists, boomers, basically boomer leftists that took over the party here. But the cause of liberty is not extinguished by any means, and it's really important to recognize that whether you're Mises Caucus, anarcho-capitalist, or any kind of philosophical libertarian, that you can still take those philosophies and those values and put them to work in any fertile field that you can find within the political realm. And what I was able to do was identify an opportunity within the Republican Party where there was a lack of competition. Nobody was stepping up to be a Secretary of State candidate in the Republican Party and fight for election integrity, fight for secure elections and free and fair elections, as the Democrats like to say, and save our democracy. And I decided to fill that void, fill that gap, and bring my libertarian nationalist philosophy. And it's been extremely well received within the Republican Party, who are just glad to have anybody with some kind of intellectual ability and philosophical strength that's prepared to fight for freedom and liberty within the state of Colorado, which is the poster child for communism right now across the nation, unfortunately.
There are probably a lot of libertarians like us, James, that think the way that we do, but who just haven't made the connection yet that, let's say they live in a blue state, you live in a blue state like Colorado. Imagine all of the libertarians who are in California right now, what good they could do if they joined the Republican Party of California and put together a real coalition to fight against the Democrats. I spoke to somebody in California yesterday. They said that they go to all, that the Libertarian Party just wanted to like go to bars and try and register people at bars. And it's kind of like, are you serious? Like you need to like mobilize and take real political action. But you could, if you're in a state like Colorado, theoretically, join the Republican Party because they're so demoralized by the fact that the left has curb stomped, the right in Colorado now, to the point where if you were a libertarian, you got involved in a blue states Republican Party, you could run the roost. It may be less competitive than you think. I mean, James, you had competition. You beat your competition, but I mean, you were a party switcher, dude. You're not supposed to make it right away. What happened? And what was your formula, would you say? Was it just the right ideas or what?
Well, no, it's much more than that. That's maybe a quarter of the battle. At least half the battle is showing up. So I had to do what libertarians never do and put in 10,000%.
Yes,
so
and show up. You showed up. You showed up. God bless you, James Wiley.
Went to over 40 events over the course of a couple of months, spoke at all those events, spoke to Republicans on the Eastern Plains, the Western Slope, all up and down the Front Range. And that's something that's required in the serious political world, is that you do more than attend one or two things a month. You got to do 3 or 4 things a week. That is the pace that's required for a takeover. And so we're executing that takeover of the Republican Party right now. I've got a whole campaign with dozens of volunteers who are on board with this. People I've worked with for years, but are particularly excited about this opportunity to reinvigorate the Republican Party. And so you combine the philosophical strength of libertarianism with the fertile field that the Republican Party represents. And maybe that's in California also, where they are like Colorado, in an older demographic within the party, begging for a younger generation to come and take over. They don't really care what you're going to execute on and do. They just want to see somebody strong enough to carry the torch and go all the way. And so that's what I'm here for.
That's it. They just want you to win, baby. They just want you to fight and win. They'll forgive anything if you win. but James, it's important to win. The libertarians, we're so used to losing that we've grown comfortable in our losing. And we've created myths and legends to justify losing, so much so that now if we go and we try and win or do the things, or even if we change, James, so that we can win, then we get accused of selling out and abandoning our principles, because the legends and myths, it's very hard to go against a culture and a society's myths and legends, right? The sacred cows. But the sacred cow of libertarians in the United States is losing. So if you're
Failure.
yes, failure. That's a sacred cow, because then you can feel comfortable and say it's not my fault, it's other people's fault, rather than doing what you're doing, James, which is taking the red hot flaming stick and poking it in people's eyes with your victory and saying, it can be done. It can be done. I just love this. I love this.
And not only that, but with overwhelming success. I went up against 3 lifelong Republicans in the assembly, and not a primary, not petitioning for ballot access. I went to their convention, I went to their assembly, and I got 72% of the vote, which means no other Republican is even on the ballot against me. I go straight to the general election against the Democrat,
Phenomenal.
where the Democrats are in a contested primary. So they were the Republicans were more united behind my cause, our cause of libertarian nationalism, than the Democrats were behind the two candidates there.
James, I got to tell you, man, this is just, it's so, I mean, if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this, for me, seeing you win is part of my own self-actualization. It's revenge in some ways, and it's just so delightful because it does appear as if, you know, you are acting as a vanguard right now at this point. You are literally the tip of a spear of a new movement that is formed, that is there's so much interest in these ideas, James. There's so much interest in this concept that literally the libertarians of New Hampshire, they said, I was going to be in Boston for a couple of days, and all the New Hampshire libertarians were like, we got to have a meeting. So the first meeting for libertarian nationalists, the public meeting, will be at the end of this month in Manchester, April 30th. So next week, Stephanie and I were driving to Manchester, New Hampshire from Boston, and meeting with about 100 other people who want to talk about the ideas of libertarian nationalism and what it means. What is it? What do you think it is about these ideas that are so compelling, other than just the concept of libertarianism and then the fertile ground of the Republican Party? But what is it about libertarian nationalism, James, you would say specifically is such a winning message, and maybe even why is it a controversial message?
Well, it's going up against very inept competition. I think one of our greatest challenges within the conservative movement is Christian nationalism, and or
Yes.
just these other philosophies that maybe neocon conservatism and these other issues, globalism that's infected the conservative right. That doesn't really stand up. It has no philosophical rigor. Libertarianism does, and while those might have a nationalist or globalist component to them, combining libertarianism with nationalism gets rid of the worst of libertarianism and gets rid of the worst of nationalism.
Exactly.
Because national socialism or communism is often the result of nationalism. Christian nationalism is socialism. But when you combine these two things, you get the freedom, but then you get the identity still. You get the identity of Americanism or Argentinism or Chileism or these other nations that are successfully implementing this philosophy. It's far superior and igniting like wildfire across the nation, I believe.
I love it, man. I love it. I am literally building this institution, my For Liberty network, around this concept, the concept of libertarian nationalism. And my goal is, James, I have to confess, I'm out there on the phones trying to get people to sign up to join this institution and help me build it. And people have been very financially generous, people like Kago over in the chat, who I spoke to the other day. But I was expecting, and I'm telling people, my plan is to run people for office like you, and I'm working on that plan to come 2 years from now. But James, you upped my timeline, so and then you ran and you won. But I'm hoping that you and I and what we're doing with this project can inspire more people to run on this platform the way that you have run and to share these ideas, because I really do believe that if we think long-term, longitudinally, instead of just like one election this year, and even if we lose the primaries this year, we don't get disenchanted, we don't get disheartened, we stay on track. But I believe it's possible we could build a real national movement around this philosophy, especially when the post-Trump GOP emerges, because the neocons, like you say, they will fight for power. The rootless nationalists, the ones with no base philosophy, or the Christian nationalists who do accept tenets of socialism, or just populists, if they will, again, not rooted in principle. There will be a power struggle when that happens, the day that Trump steps down. And if we libertarian nationalists have my institution, the For Liberty Network, let's say you're Secretary of State. Let's give ourselves a win. You win. You have a platform. Let's go, man. Let's go. And then, hey, brother, just do me a favor, James. If for some reason you don't become the Secretary of State of Colorado, do not be disheartened. Do not be disillusioned. More victories are coming. And I think that we have a foundation here that we can truly build in the future. Are you with me, Bo? Are you with me?
Yes, but I'm going to push that out of my mind. And the reason is because I have your audience, I have you, and this is my ask of you, this is my ask of your audience. Form a PAC. Yes. Put some money into politics. Like, donate to my campaign. If you want libertarian nationalism to take root in political power, and this is what you told me. You said, go where the power is and take it.
Yes.
So I'm where the power is now. I just need your help in taking it. So form a PAC, start throwing some money at my campaign, redflameliberty.com, and let's push this over the line. We can use all of national libertarianism. And this is the idea that if we spread out libertarians across the country, we're worthless. But if we take our efforts and we concentrate them into one race or one state, New Hampshire, Colorado, we can take over easily. Let's do a takeover.
Oh, James, I'm with you, bud. redflameofliberty.com. The first libertarian nationalist to win a race in the GOP in the state of Colorado. He's got tall odds to fight, but you can help those odds if you donate to him. Get interested in his campaign. If you know anybody in Colorado, tell him you got a Republican that you can support, and this can be the spark. James can be the beginning of a brush fire, and it's fitting. He's the red flame of liberty. James, you're a good man. You're a great American. We appreciate you, brother.
You too, Austin.
Good luck out there. Guys, this is it. This is the plan. It's in the secret. It's no secret plan anymore. It's an open plan. We're taking over government and leaving everyone alone. Did Amy J. Easley, can I ask you, can we just give it up for Amy? Amy has been donating $50 a month to the For Liberty Network. And you got to wonder, like, what kind of a crazy person blesses me with that kind of money on a monthly basis? Amy J. Easley does that, okay? I have to brag about her because you probably, when I first asked for you guys to send us your hard-earned money and help me build a network for liberty, you probably didn't expect that it would go in this direction and that we would be where we are now. But we have really moved the ball down the field so far where we actually have people running on libertarian nationalist ideals and winning their primaries in the Republican Party. So that means that everything that we've done for the last 2-3 years, guys, everything we've done, the money that you've spent here, every time you've gone to the grift shop, every time you've dropped a Rumble rant or a sub, you guys, you've made that happen. I couldn't have gone to Colorado last fall. They don't pay a lot of money to go speak at those things. You end up usually spending a little bit more on food, but whatever. But the point is that last fall I appeared at a public event for the Libertarian Party of Colorado, and I gave a speech, 10 ways libertarians can save Western civilization with this one weird trick. And the one weird trick was power. And James Wiley listened. He quit the LP. He joined the Republican Party. He ran for office as a libertarian nationalist. And gosh darn it, he's the candidate now. This is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I was hoping that 2 years from now I would be able to start a PAC and help support libertarian nationalist candidates, but we're not there yet. So if you're a 1776er and you're like, Austin, you're getting results, I would like to reward you, and you want to go from 1776 to say 50 a month like Amy, if you can do that, please do that. Please contact us. We will give you a call. We will upgrade your account. Guys, the more money we have, the more ability to do stuff. Without people like Jonathan Brown or Amy J. Easley, we wouldn't be able to do stuff, okay? We can do stuff now. Next week, we're going to be in Manchester, New Hampshire for the first meeting for Libertarian Nationalists. Then we're going to be in Boston. We're going to be in New Hampshire. We're going to be in Boston, and we're going to be in Las Vegas this July. Our first public coming out party for the network will be at Freedom Fest on July 8th. So Las Vegas. If you guys want to come and you're like, oh, tickets are expensive, we can get you discounts. So just let us know. If Vegas is in the cards for you, then we will see you on July 8th. Now, I know it's time for us to play the Great Grift Off because I saved time for you guys. I saved time for you so that we could all play a game together and enjoy and win some prizes at the Grift Shop. What do you say? You guys ready for the Great Grift Off? Let's do it. I've got a number for you. If you go to crowdparty.app, that's crowdparty.app. Crowdparty.app, guys. Type in that code on your screen. It's 40266. What is this, Austin? What is this? This is a game. It's a mini game. Basically, I'm Bob Barker. We're going full-blown game show. So if you're watching me live, wherever you may roam, if you're Mr. Dash over on YouTube, if you're Amy J. Easley or Kermode Bear, then you should go to crowdparty.app. That's crowdparty.app. Crowdparty.app. 40266 is the code. We can take up to 50 players. 40266 is the code. If you want to play, Amy, if you want to go to Vegas, let me know as soon as possible because there is a super secret private event going on at a super secret private location where super secret private VIPs will be gathering, and it's only one night happening there in Vegas. There will be other VIP things happening, but my centrifugal force has been building up towards one event, which is happening in Las Vegas the evening of July 8th. You could be with me and my crew that night if you choose to come, but you got to tell me soon. You got to tell me real soon because otherwise the guest list is going to close. Small group. But Amy, you would totally get in. So let's play Mandela Effect. 10 people so far. I'm going to start the 30-second countdown. You've got 30 seconds to go to crowdparty.app. Type in that code 40266. You have 30 seconds. Kermode can't play. See ya, Bear. Thank you so much. I'll give you the prizes. Nobody has found the hidden pineapple in the intro, by the way. There's a $10 gift card waiting for the first person to find the hidden pineapple in the intro. I have to try that one again tomorrow. Okay, let's start the game. We're playing Mandela Effect today. In the Saw movies, what does Jigsaw say? Would you like to play a game? Do you want to play a game? Or I want to play a game? In the Saw movies, what does Jigsaw say? This is fun. We're playing for real prizes, guys. I want to play a game. Ooh, Siggy's mom. Pork chop number 2, Riley face number 3. What is the title of this movie? Is it Interview with a Vampire, Interviewing a Vampire, or Interview with the Vampire? Ooh, that is great movie, by the way. Interview with the Vampire. Oh, Colton, what are you doing? Number 1. Colton wants a gift card. What are the correct lyrics for the 90s hit Barbie Girl? I'm the Barbie girl in a Barbie world, or I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. I'm the Barbie girl in the Barbie world, or I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Wow. I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Wow. Tell you what, guys, Siggy and Colton, you're going to have to fight it out. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. God, this show is so fun, guys. It feels great to actually be doing something, like something useful. When you're not just a podcaster, when you're actually like making things happen, doing stuff in the real world, it just, you get, you know, like I said, top of the hierarchy of Maslow's pyramid, just self-actualization all over the place for me these days. Siggy's mom, oh my God, you're tied, 444. First and second place are tied at 444 points. What is the name of this bear? Is it Smokey V Bear? Is it Smokey Bear? Or is it smoke bear? What kind of smoke you got there, bear? It's Smoky Bear. Smoky Bear. Oh my God, Colton's pulling away. Did. In Silence of the Lambs, what line does Hannibal say to Clarice? Hello, Clarice. Morning, Clarice. Or good morning. Hello, Clarice. Morning, Clarice. Good morning. I ate his liver. It's just good morning. Wow. Hello, Clarice. In this scene of Risky Business is Tom Cruise's character wearing sunglasses. Ooh, it's a tough one. Saint Selma. Oh my gosh. Hunter's crack pipe. That's funny. What is this corrective fluid called? Whiteout, or whiteout? Whiteout, W-I-T-E. Remember who you are, white boy. St. Selma's number 1, Hunter's crack pipe number 2. What does the Target logo look like? 1, 2, or 3? Ooh. Siggy's mom. Is it red ring with a red circle, 2 red rings with a white circle, or 2 red rings with a red circle? I bet you most people will get this one right. Only 2 people got it, or 4 people got it wrong. Pork chop popped up at number 1. Only a few more rounds left in the Great Grift Off. Liberty Loot Live. We're playing for real prizes at the Grift Shop. We love this because it gives you a way to get some of our items at the shop at a really steep discount. So the first place winner is going to get a $20 gift card. You got 1 week since you looked at me. Spend your gift card in a week or else you're crying. Chicken to China, the Chinese chicken. Matching pairs. Leaderboard. Pork chop, number 1. This is it, around 11 of 12. What are the correct lyrics to Mr. Rogers' theme song? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Or it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Oh, Hunter's crack pipe sitting at number 1. Pork chop at number 2. Last round. It's going to be a photo finish. Can you name the part of C-3PO that is silver instead of gold? Is it his hand, his leg, his arm, or is it his stomach? It's his leg. There, only 2, which means who's the winner? Congratulations, Pork Chop. Wow. Now, Pork Chop, I know you have been calling this game rigged for a while. Rigged. Pork Chop, how did you rig it? You won it. Congrats. Collect your prize. A $20 gift card expires 1 week from today, so get over there. Do some grifting at the Grift Shop. 573-319-1586. When you text that line, Pork Chop, let us know it's you. We'll send you your $20 gift card to the Grift Shop at forlibertyshop.com. When you go to forlibertyshop.com, just remember what you're supporting, white boy. Remember who you are, white boy. America 250th anniversary, white boy. Remember who you are, white boy. White girl. Head over to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. Shop the collection. When you go to forlibertyshop.com, guys, you're going to find America's 250th anniversary collection like none other. And we check. We shop around. We try and find like patriotic products. Maybe helps us get ideas, but we always have better stuff because we care. We love this country. We love it, and we want it to be a libertarian nation. See you guys tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
In the quiet farming town of Fredericksburg, New York, on April 5th, 1761, a girl was born who would ride straight into legend. Her name was Sybil Ludington, the oldest of 12 children, strong-willed, fearless, and raised on the edge of the Revolutionary War. By 1777, at just 16 years old, Sybil already knew how to ride hard and shoot straight. Her father, Colonel Henry Ludington, commanded the local militia. Their farmhouse served as both home and regimental headquarters. The war had come close. British forces under General William Tryon were raiding Connecticut, burning towns, and destroying precious American supplies. On the stormy night of April 26, 1777, a rider pounded up to the Ludington farm, drenched and exhausted. Danbury, Connecticut, just 25 miles away, had been attacked. British troops were burning supply depots, destroying food and gunpowder the Continental Army desperately needed. Colonel Ludington's militia had to be called out immediately, but the men were scattered across the countryside, many miles apart. The colonel looked at his daughter. "Sybil," he said, "you know every road and every farm in this county better than any man here. Can you do it?" 16-year-old Sybil didn't hesitate. She saddled her horse, Star, a strong, sure-footed mare, pulled on a heavy cloak, and tucked a pistol into her belt. As thunder cracked and rain poured down in sheets, she swung into the saddle and rode into the darkness. 40 miles. That's how far she rode that night, twice the distance Paul Revere covered on his famous ride. Through pouring rain and howling wind, over muddy roads, across swollen streams, and past forests where Loyalist raiders and British scouts might be hiding. She galloped from farm to farm, pounding on doors, shouting into the storm, "The British are burning Danbury. Colonel Ludington needs every man. Meet at the farm by dawn." Farmers stumbled out of bed, grabbed their muskets, and saddled horses. Some thought they were dreaming, a girl, soaked to the bone, riding alone through the night like a phantom. But Sybil kept riding. When a band of Loyalist cowboys tried to stop her, she drew her pistol and spurred Star forward, vanishing into the trees. She rode for hours without rest, her voice growing hoarse from shouting, her body battered by wind and rain. By the time the first gray light of dawn touched the sky, Sybil Ludington had covered nearly 40 miles and roused nearly 400 militiamen. They gathered at her father's farm just as the sun rose. Colonel Ludington took command and marched them toward Danbury. Though they arrived too late to save the town from burning, the reinforced militia helped drive the British back to their ships on Long Island Sound, preventing further destruction. Sybil's ride had saved the day. After the war, she married Edmund Ogden and raised a family. She lived a long life, dying on February 26, 1839, at the age of 77. For many years, her incredible ride was remembered only in local stories, but today her courage is recognized as one of the boldest acts of the Revolution. Sybil Ludington was never a soldier, never a general, and never carried a flag into battle. She was a teenage girl on a horse, riding alone through a thunderstorm because her country needed her. In the pouring rain and pitch-black night, while thunder roared and danger lurked on every dark road, one brave 16-year-old did what grown men could not. She rallied an army with nothing but courage, a good horse, and a voice that refused to stay silent. Sybil Ludington didn't just ride through the storm, she became the storm. And because of one young girl's midnight ride, the American Revolution kept burning bright.
George Washington spent 8 years making sure nobody knew where he was. Troop movements, secret dispatches. The man was a ghost. So when a barista leaned out a window and asked for his exact location in exchange for points they called stars, he looked at his flag and said, "I've already got my stars. 13 of them. Keep your dignity and your location intact. Grab a box of Washington's Revolutionary Roast at 4libertyshop.com.